Recognition in development is something that I found doesn't happen by itself. It's not one of those things where you might start building things and suddenly people will come and applaud you. No, that doesn't really happen in the real world. In the real world, what ends up happening is that there's nothing. There's crickets, there's silence. You can spend days, weeks, even years building something. And you can publish it, you can put it online, you can put it on Google, and no one will know it's there. And why is this? Why do people and why do developers not really get recognized for the work they do? Well, recognition isn't one of those things that you should just expect to happen. To be recognized is to put yourself out there. It's to really show off your work, not just do it. We might know everything there is to know in HTML, in CSS. We might think we know everything there is, but without actually putting your work out there and really pushing it to be published on maybe forums, on maybe social media, and asking people to judge it, to have a look at it and tell you their honest feedback, will you actually be recognized? When I was working a lot in a day-to-day job. It was a full-time position. I always tried to do my best work possible. And I would think that if I do my best work, then that'll be recognized. But unfortunately, that was a fallacy as well. Recognition in work also needs to be promoted. It needs to be promoted by maybe your peers, your friends. Maybe it needs to be promoted by you telling your boss just how good of a job you did. Because if you expect to simply do a great job and not actually announce that to anyone, not to actually bring that up so that people can recognize what you're doing, it might not see the light of day and you might have done a fantastic job. But how will people know unless you put yourself out there? And this is what I wanted to talk about today, recognition and development. And that is essentially putting your work out there, putting yourself out there. And yes, it can be scary because you'll be being judged when you're doing that. And judgment isn't good, but at that same point, judgment is good because when you're doing a great job, people will recognize that. When you're putting your best foot forward and you're trying your hardest, people will acknowledge that and they'll support you as well. And you'll be able to grow. You'll be able to get better and better as well. Recognition also means that when you build something, say you build it in, whatever technology it is, you need to be able to announce that on all sorts of platforms. This is what I do when I build different services, when I even do these videos on YouTube. I try to announce them to the world. I try to make sure people recognize me. In this way, I'm slowly able to grow my platform, my skills, and myself. Yes, I get feedback. I get feedback sometimes that I might not be good at something, or I might not make sense. Even the way I talk or do videos is up for debate. But every one of those actually helps me. It helps me improve and get better. It helps me get recognized by those people because they also see that I am getting better and I take that criticism and I improve from it. In this way, I am not just getting recognized as I am, but I'm getting recognized for the person I will be too. And this is great. It opens up doors. It opens up possibilities. It means that maybe in the future I'll get sponsors. It means that maybe in the futures I'll be able to do more stuff with a greater ability than I can today. And I think that's a great thing. I think that that's things that people can do themselves too. That in development, I used to not do this at all. When I started out and I used to build stuff, I spent ages. When I say ages, I spent months, sometimes years building out designs, and I would not show them to anyone. I would build out great ideas for maybe a note-taking app. And it was very similar to things like Evernote. And it was years and years before they released anything. And yet I didn't want to publish this. I felt scared. I felt judged. And because of this, I never really got anywhere. I didn't even work in the web field. It was more like a passion project, more like a painter who might be thinking that their work isn't worth showing to anyone. So they'll just paint and paint and paint for themselves without any recognition. And one day maybe they'll die, maybe they'll move on to something different. And years later, when they finally are discovered, when someone sees their paintings and goes, my gosh, this was amazing, and they see all the work, that's when they're recognized. But if they put themselves out there a little bit earlier, if they try to tackle that fear of being judged and showing off their work, that could happen a lot sooner. So that's my tip and my topic of today. It's trying to get yourself recognized for the stuff you do. Whether that's at home, just developing your own ideas. Whether that's at work and doing the best work that you can and showing that off to your peers and your boss. Or whether that's just anything in particular, maybe a hobby or something different. Anyway, my name's Adrian. I do videos around design and development. And I want to do more interesting topics as well, so if there are topics you guys want me to cover, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.